The secretary unbuttons her shirt, trying to seduce her way into staying alive. The man standing in front of her is Barry, the company's vice president. But by now, he is no longer the executive who gives orders from an office. He has become the most dangerous hunter inside this building. The secretary believes that if she submits to him, maybe he'll let her live. Barry looks at her, slowly moves the gun behind his back, then gently holds her head. But in the next second, he snaps her neck. No hesitation, no guilt. To him, it's like getting rid of a useless office supply. After that, Barry steps into the elevator, ready to search the other floors for more survivors. But as the elevator starts rising, he suddenly hears something above him. It turns out 2 people are hiding on top of the elevator. One of them, a woman, reacts fast. She immediately jumps into a side recess. But the man beside her is 1 step too slow. Before he can escape, the rising elevator crushes him alive. Blood starts dripping down through the gaps, and the elevator gets jammed halfway up the shaft. Barry is trapped inside. He completely breaks down, screaming in rage, because at this point, the entire building has turned into a slaughterhouse. And if he can't get out within the next hour, he'll end up just like the coworkers outside. A cold corpse left inside this building. And all of this. It all starts that morning. Mike arrives at work like it's just another normal day. Belko is located on the outskirts of Colombia. On the surface, it looks like an international company with incredible benefits. High pay, easy work. They even provide housing and transportation for employees sent overseas. The only strange part is, the company once implanted tracking devices inside the employees' heads. They claimed it was for security. Colombia was dangerous, they said, and if an employee was ever kidnapped, the tracker would help the company find them fast. Back then, no one thought much of it. After all, it sounded like protection. But today, the moment Mike reaches the company entrance, something feels off. The guards he usually recognizes are gone. In their place is a new team of heavily armed security officers. They check every employee's ID. They search every trunk. Even Barry, the company's vice president, gets stopped and questioned at the gate. Barry is annoyed, but he doesn't think too much of it. Colombia has never been exactly safe. Maybe headquarters just ordered a temporary security upgrade. Meanwhile, inside the building, the employees are still working like it's just another normal day. Some are rushing to finish paperwork. Some are complaining about their boss dumping too many pointless tasks on them. Mike's girlfriend, Leandra, is still dealing with an inappropriate male coworker who won't leave her alone. Everything seems like the usual annoying problems inside an ordinary office. The only one who feels out of place is Dani, the new employee. It's her first day on the job. She hasn't even had time to get the company's so-called security tracker implanted in her head. At the time, no one thinks much of it. But very soon, they will understand that surviving today may come down to that one tiny detail. Because every single one of them has already been selected for an experiment. Soon, the speakers suddenly crackle to life. A strange man's voice echoes through the entire building. He tells everyone there are currently 80 employees inside Belko, and within the next 30 minutes, they must kill any 2 coworkers. If time runs out and there aren't 2 dead bodies, he will step in and make it happen for them. At first, most people think it has to be a prank. Some think the company is running some kind of psychological test. Some think a hacker has taken over the PA system, and others immediately try to call the police. But very quickly, they realize every communication line has been cut. Their phones have no signal. The internet can't connect to the outside world. Mike realizes something is seriously wrong. He immediately tells everyone to get out of the building. But before they can even reach the exits, a thick metal panel suddenly rises from the floor and seals the main entrance shut. Then another one, then a third, then a fourth. Every exit and every window is sealed behind metal plates. The entire building turns into a giant iron box, trapping all 80 people inside with no way out. They rush down to the lobby on the first floor and try to cut through the metal panel with a welding torch. But after more than 10 minutes of burning, the metal doesn't even change color. Some people run to the roof, trying to call for help, but the building is in the middle of nowhere. There are barely any cars passing by. Down below, the new guards see them shouting for help, but they just stand there holding their coffee, watching coldly. Not one of them steps forward to help. Panic begins to spread, but some people are still clinging to false hope. Maybe this is just some kind of company stress test. Maybe if they refuse to kill anyone, the voice on the speakers will finally stop. But 30 minutes passes fast. The next second, a female employee suddenly grabs her neck in pain. Then the back of her head bursts open. Blood sprays all over the person beside her. The same explosions start happening in other parts of the building. Everyone panics and runs in every direction, thinking someone is shooting from the shadows. But after Barry checks the bodies, he realizes these people weren't shot. The explosions came from inside their heads. Mike immediately thinks of the so-called tracking device. The company once claimed it was a safety tool meant to protect employees, but now it has become a bomb buried inside every single person's skull. Mike rushes into the bathroom. He grabs a knife and cuts into the back of his own neck, trying to remove the bomb, but the speakers immediately come on. The voice starts counting down. If Mike doesn't stop, the bomb inside his head will be detonated on the spot. The device is buried too deep, so Mike has no choice but to grit his teeth and give up. When he comes out of the bathroom, the back of his neck is covered in blood. Leandra quickly grabs a needle and thread and does her best to stitch the wound shut. And by now, everyone finally understands. This isn't a prank. They are really trapped inside a killing game. Soon, the speakers announce the second task. Within 2 hours, they must kill 30 people. If the number isn't met, the voice will randomly detonate the bombs inside 60 employees' heads. The moment they hear this, the entire building falls into chaos. Some people rush into the kitchen and grab knives as weapons. Some start hiding, some break down crying and pray, and some begin seriously thinking about who should be sacrificed. Barry steps forward. On the surface, he tries to calm everyone down, but in reality, he has already started calculating. If 30 people have to die, then the least important people should go first. The elderly, the people without children, the physically weak. In his eyes, this is no longer about coworkers. It has become a matter of resource allocation, a brutal selection game where he trades other people's lives for his own chance to survive. Mike strongly opposes him. He believes the moment they start killing by the rules of the voice on the speakers, the game will never end. Today, it's 30 people. Next round, it could be even more. They have to find a way to fight back, not help the people behind this complete their experiment. Mike suggests they go to the roof and hang a banner for help. If someone outside sees it, they still have a chance to be rescued. Most people choose to follow Mike. Barry is left behind in the lobby, and his face grows darker by the second, because he has already realized the people who refuse to kill outnumber him. If he wants to survive, he needs to get his hands on the weapons first. While Mike's group prepares the banner, Leandra realizes the welding torch is missing. Following the sound, the others reach the armory. There, they find Barry and several men trying to cut their way into the armory with the welding torch. The head of security raises his gun and orders them to stop. Mike quickly steps in to calm everyone down, but Barry has no intention of backing off. So Mike fires a shot and damages the gas line, making the torch useless. For now, the two sides don't fully turn on each other, but the way Barry looks at Mike has completely changed. After that, Mike takes several coworkers up to the roof. They try to hang the banner down the outside of the building, but the moment the banner drops, the new guards below open fire. A bullet tears through one employee's hand, and the banner falls to the ground. Mike still wants to try again, but the speakers immediately issue a warning. If they keep trying to hang any message outside, the bomb inside the violator's head will be detonated instantly. Their call for help fails. The people outside won't save them, and the people inside can't get out. This building has completely become a sealed slaughterhouse. Mike sits on the roof, feeling powerless for the first time. He doesn't want to kill anyone, but he can't find any other way out. That's when Barry steps out from the shadows and strikes. He knocks Mike unconscious. At the same time, Barry's men force the head of security to hand over the armory key. Furious, the head of security throws the key down from the upper floor, but Barry's man doesn't hesitate. He pulls out a knife and stabs him to death. Barry then retrieves the key and opens the armory. Handguns are passed out one by one. From this moment on, the power structure inside the company changes completely. Whoever has a gun gets to decide who lives. Barry and his men round up employees from every floor and force them into the lobby. Elegant music plays in the background, but every face in the room is filled with fear. Barry tells anyone with children to support to step forward first. Those people can be spared for now, because Barry has children too, and he needs a reasonable excuse to protect himself. Then he orders everyone over 60 to stand on the other side. In his eyes, the elderly have already lived long enough. Sacrificing them costs less than sacrificing the young. But there aren't enough elderly people to reach 30, so Barry keeps choosing from the crowd. The weaker women, the older employees, anyone who has pushed back against him. And of course, Mike is put on the list too. Someone tries to fight back. Barry opens fire. The moment the gunshot rings out, whatever order remains in the lobby completely collapses. Hidden in the shadows, Danny, the new employee, watches everything happen. She can't save everyone, so she runs to the basement and cuts the power to the entire building. The lobby is instantly swallowed by darkness. People scream and scatter in every direction. Some are killed by wild gunfire, some are trampled in the chaos, and some use the darkness to fight back. But Barry has a gun, and his men have already lost themselves to the killing. The darkness doesn't save everyone. It only makes the massacre even more chaotic. 30 minutes later, the speakers come on again. Current death count, 29. One short of the target, and only 2 minutes remain. Barry and his men start searching desperately for the remaining survivors. Leandra hides inside an office. She pulls off a metal bar and uses it as a weapon. One of Barry's men follows her in. As he gets closer, Leandra suddenly strikes from under the desk and knocks him down. His gun falls to the floor. The man starts begging for his life. He says they're coworkers. He begs Leandra not to finish him off. Leandra raises the metal bar, but she can't bring herself to do it. She hasn't fully turned into a killing machine yet. But in the next second, the speakers announce that time is up. Because they are one body short, 31 employees will now be randomly executed. The moment the voice finishes, the begging man's head explodes. Then, explosions echo through the entire building. Employees drop one after another. No matter where they hide, if the bomb in their head is selected, there is only one outcome: death. Barry curls up in a corner, shaking in fear. Just moments ago, he was deciding who lived and who died. But now, his own life is just a button in someone else's hand. Finally, the explosions stop. Before the survivors can even catch their breath, the speakers announce the final rule. Within 1 hour, the person with the most kills will be allowed to leave the building alive. The moment they hear that, everyone understands. From now on, every survivor is no longer a person. They're just another point on someone else's scorecard. Barry is currently in the lead. Most of the earlier executions were carried out by him, and his men start searching the building even more aggressively. Some people hide inside freezers, choosing to risk freezing to death rather than come out and get their heads blown open. Some hide in the elevator shaft. Others search through bodies, looking for anything they can use. To stay alive, the secretary tries to seduce Barry, and that brings us back to the scene from the opening. Trapped inside the elevator, Barry kicks off the handrail, uses it to pry the elevator doors open, and forces his way back into the building. Meanwhile, Leandra runs into two surviving coworkers. They are cutting the bombs out of the bodies' heads. Their plan is to gather the explosives and use them to blow open the metal panels sealing the building. Right now, it's the only escape plan that seems even remotely possible. After Leandra gets the bombs, she sets out to find Mike. But on the way, she runs into Barry's men. A gunfight breaks out. The two coworkers are killed one after another. Leandra is left alone, hiding behind an office desk and fighting back with everything she has. In the end, she knocks one of them down with the desk, then kills him with an axe. This is the first time she actively takes a life. And it's the moment this experiment finally pushes her past her breaking point. After that, Leandra finally finds Mike on the first floor. The two of them hold each other tightly. Both of them thought the other was already dead. Inside this building, seeing each other alive again feels almost like a miracle. Leandra gives Mike the bombs she collected. But before they can figure out a way to escape, another survivor throws a Molotov cocktail at them. They have no choice but to run into an office. And, at the worst possible moment, Barry arrives too. He opens fire and chases after them. In the chaos, Leandra is shot. Mike drags her behind a cabinet and holds her there. He doesn't dare make a sound, because Barry is right outside. Leandra looks at Mike, trying to say something, but she's too badly wounded. Moments later, she dies in his arms. In that moment, Mike completely breaks down. He has lost his friends, his coworkers, and the person he loved most. And outside, Barry is still hunting for his final target. Now, inside the entire building, only the two of them remain. Mike rushes out and tackles Barry to the ground, but in terms of size and combat experience, he is no match for him. Barry quickly gains the upper hand, but Mike has nothing left to lose. He grabs a tool from the floor and smashes it into Barry's face. Once, twice, again and again, until Barry can no longer fight back. Finally, Mike raises the weapon and ends the man who treated his coworkers like bargaining chips. The entire building falls silent at last. 80 people came in, only Mike is left alive. Soon, two armed men enter the building and take Mike away. They bring him to the old hangar across the road, the same place the new guards took over that morning. There, Mike finally sees the people behind everything. The surveillance screens are filled with images of the bodies inside the building, and on the control panel, there is equipment used to detonate the bombs inside their heads. The man in charge calmly tells Mike that they belong to an international behavioral research organization. The purpose of this experiment was to study human choices under extreme conditions. They wanted to know what people would do when rules collapse, when survival becomes stronger than morality, when coworkers turn into prey. Now the experiment is over, and they still need Mike to describe how he feels. Mike doesn't answer. He just asks them one question. Did you see me take the bombs? Only then do the people behind the experiment realize something is wrong. When Mike was dragged in, he had already taken the bombs removed from the bodies and quietly planted them on the people in the hangar. The next second, explosions tear through the room. The people who treated 80 human beings like lab material finally get a taste of what it feels like to be controlled by the system they created. Mike grabs a gun and kills the man in charge. Then, covered in blood and completely exhausted, he slowly walks out of the old hangar. The sunset falls across the open lot. The whole world is terrifyingly quiet. But right then, the camera slowly pulls back. Mike's figure appears on another surveillance screen, and on that screen, there are many other survivors just like him. It turns out the Belko building was never the only test site. All over the world, many other people have just survived the same kind of massacre. Then a cold, mechanical female voice comes on. Phase 1 complete. Phase 2 begins. And that is where the movie ends.